Hello, friends. I am on a quest to read all the finance and business books recommended by other creators out there who have built successful businesses. I want to know firsthand if they're really all they're cracked up to be, and if there are actual takeaways that we can mull over and use in our day-to-day lives. Today, I'll be sharing 7 lessons that I've learned from reading The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. I have to say that I really enjoyed reading this book. I would really recommend it if you want to understand better your relationship with money and the behavior that you adopt when you earn it, spend it, and save it. You don't have to be a business owner to really enjoy this book. I think it could be really for anybody, and it's a really great first read if this is the first time that you're approaching a book that centers around money. This book was born out of an article that the author wrote, I think on the Wall Street Journal, and it is an expansion on the 20 biggest lessons that the author learned over his career in working in finance. The first lesson is that we aren't as objective and rational as we think we may be. Every decision that we make involving money comes from a very complex algorithm that our brain created based on our own experiences in life. Our upbringing, our culture, our class, our family dynamics, even our own character form our decisions about how we spend our money. More than any knowledge that we might hold around statistical analysis or objective fact about the economy. For example, if you were born in America during the crisis of 1929, where the entire market dropped and the entire population went through a very severe period of economic depression, you would be very unlikely to invest your money in the stock market again. You would be stung from that experience, and your brain would tell you if you invest in the stock market, something like that might happen again. Versus if you were born in the late 60s and you grew up in a period of wealth and economic growth, you would be much more likely to want to invest in the market because you would have seen it soar over the span of your lifetime. Morgan Housel says that there's no objective fact that can really override our personal experiences and feelings that affect our relationship with money. The second lesson that I've learned is that every success comes from a combination of luck and skill. In the book, Bill Gates is an example. Obviously, Bill Gates is a very intelligent man with a lot of talent. However, he was also lucky that when he was a child, he attended one of the only schools where there was a computer. And so he started using a computer since a very young age, and that influenced then what he ended up doing after that. This means that you can try and replicate the exact strategies and journeys of a person who is very successful, but that doesn't mean that you're going to achieve their same results, because you cannot plan to be in the right place at the right time. All you can do is try to increase the surface area of luck, and this will give you a higher chance of receiving luck whenever it comes. I'll give you a personal example of how that turns out in our everyday lives. So this was a few years ago. I was attending my master's program in Italy, and we had a guest lecturer coming from New York University, and he was lecturing us about the cultural policies in America. And during my master's program, I made it a point that I wanted to make the most out of my experience at university. And so I was always doing my best to really participate in class, ask questions, try to answer questions as best as possible, participate actively in group discussions, etc. One day, I happened to just cross paths in the corridors with this guest lecturer, and we started a conversation, a very casual conversation about my journey and whether I already knew where I would go and do my internship, which was part of the master's program that I was attending. And so one thing led to the other, and in the end, this professor put me in touch with the Public Theater in New York, where I was able to get an internship in the finance department, and that led me to where I am now today. I'm a finance director who work with creative organizations. So crossing paths with that professor and initiating that conversation was really a strike of luck, but that would not have happened if that professor wasn't already familiar with me and my face and my name, because I was already participating so much in class. So there's going to be so many instances in your life where you might get a lucky opportunity, but you have to be there in the first place to receive that luck and then make something out of it. The third lesson that I've learned from this book is that you have to learn what enough means to you. The book brings the example of Bernie Madoff. Bernie Madoff, if you don't know who he is one of the biggest financial criminals over the last 20 years. He was an incredibly wealthy financier, and despite having a net worth of probably billions of dollars, he still put together a very elaborate Ponzi scheme to steal money from other people to have even more money. And the book brings other examples examples of other millionaires who weren't happy enough with having millions and they wanted billions, and they ended up committing fraud in order to get there. And so the question is why? Why would they put themselves and their family in such jeopardy just to have more cash? What were they going to do with all of that cash? There's a quote from the book which I really enjoyed, and I'm going to read it to you now. At a party given by a billionaire on Shelter Island, Joseph Heller was told that their host, a hedge fund manager, had made more money in a single day than Heller had earned from his wildly popular novel Catch-22 over its whole history. Heller responds, "Yes, but I have something he will never have. Enough." There is a lot of danger and unhappiness in not having enough. Make sure you know what that means for you. The fourth lesson that I'm taking away from this book is that owning a bunch of stuff only tells you information about how much money you're spending. That's it. Getting money, earning it, is only half of what you need to do. The other half is having control over how you spend it, or rather how you keep it. Remember that long-term respect and admiration cannot be bought. Using your money to buy a flashy car or a very expensive watch might make you think that you are better than how you were before buying them, but chances are that your friends, family, and peers will look at your actions to form a judgment about you. Here's another couple of quotes that I really enjoyed. When you see someone driving a nice car, you rarely think, wow, the guy driving that car is cool. Instead, you think, wow, if I had that car, people would think I'm cool. People tend to want wealth to signal to others that they should be liked and admired, but in reality, those other people often bypass admiring you because they use your wealth as a benchmark for their own desire to be liked and admired. Someone driving a $100,000 car might be wealthy, but the only data point you have about their wealth is that they have $100,000 less than they did before they bought the car, or $100,000 more in debt. That's all you know about them. This is why often you hear about people winning the lottery, running out of money only years after they won it. This is because getting the money is not enough. The spending or keeping it is crucial to building and maintaining your wealth. The fifth lesson that I want to share with you is that time is your best ally to compound your money. Start saving and investing as early as you can, and allow time to build up the compound interest. I'm going to read another extract from the book, and this is a story that I had no idea about before reading the book, and I really, really enjoyed it. And it's a story about a guy called Ronald Read. My favorite Wikipedia entry begins. Ronald James Read was an American philanthropist, investor, janitor, and gas station attendant. Read fixed cars at a gas station for 25 years and swept floors at JCPenney for 17 years. He bought a two-bedroom house for $12,000 at age 38 and lived there for the rest of his life. He was widowed at age 50 and never remarried. A friend recalled that his main hobby was chopping firewood. In his will, the former janitor left $2 million to his stepkids and more than $6 million to his local hospital and library. It turned out there was no secret, there was no lottery win and no inheritance. Read saved what little he could and invested it in blue chip stocks. Then he waited for decades on end as tiny savings compounded into more than 8 million. The earlier you start investing even a little bit of your savings into long-term, low-risk investments such as index funds, the better your chances are that your wealth is going to highly compound and exponentially grow over time. Lesson number 6 that I want you to think about is that you don't need a reason to save. Sure, having a big goal such as, a vacation or buying a car or buying a house really help with the motivation, but even if you didn't have any specific goal or target to hit with your savings, putting money aside is still a good habit to have. You have a lot more control over your spending than you think. And what's called lifestyle inflation is what kills your freedom. So as your income grows, if you adjust your spending to be bigger and bigger and bigger, you're always going to live paycheck to paycheck. If you find a way to keep your expenses pretty low while your income grows, and you learn to save and invest whatever you don't spend, that's a thing that is going to have the highest impact on your wealth. We think about it that income less spending is savings, but actually Morgan Housel says that income less ego is savings. While earning income might require, risk-taking and bold decisions and putting yourself out there, maintaining your money and letting it grow over time requires pretty much the opposite. You need to be humble and you need to be okay with not allowing that lifestyle inflation to creep up on you. Wealth is what you don't see. And if you really need a reason to save in order for you to start doing it, Think that your savings and the money that you accumulate over time will buy you time. Time is the most valuable non-renewable resource that we have. Having enough money in savings and investing might mean that you might be able to work less and only if you want to, or you can be pickier with the kind of employer that you want to work for, or you can accept a lower salary for a higher impact job that you actually like. Don't wait for a reason to save, just start saving today. And the seventh and last lesson that I want you to mull over is that you have to account for a margin of risk and error. As humans, our brain needs to believe that we know what's going to happen in the future. We do our best to put patterns together and try and predict what's going to happen. But actually we can't. We saw that in 2020. We saw that in every recession. Things that were unthinkable actually happened. And so really think about what is it that is going to make you technically, but also emotionally survive hard times in the future. For example, you might have put aside 6 months worth of savings and you might decide to use it to quit your job and go traveling for a few months. So technically you might be able to survive quite a bit with those savings, but how will you feel if during that time you see your savings being depleted? Will you still be able to enjoy your travels knowing that your financial situation is getting worse and worse by the day? Do you need a plan B? Do you need more savings? Do you need to know that the moment that you return, you'll have a job waiting for you? Or maybe you're going to be able to keep your cool and trust that whenever you get back, you'll know what to do. As long as you remember that we aren't fully rational individuals. No matter how pragmatic you think you are not capable of taking fully rational decisions. A big part of your behavior is dictated by your personal life story. And this is the conclusion and the main thought that I had as I finished reading this book. Everything that we do around money is dictated by the stories that we have learned about ourselves and the world, and the personal experiences that we have used to explain this chaotic world of ours. And these will change from person to person. Decisions around money can't by definition be objective and pragmatic. For example, if you have a very large mortgage, one option would be to just pay the minimum mortgage payment every single month and then invest all of your savings into the stock market, which has higher returns than the interest that you're paying on your mortgage. Although that would be financially speaking a better decision because you would have more returns, we cannot deny the fact that debt is emotional. And so you and your family might just decide to chuck any savings at your mortgage to extinguish it as quickly as possible so that then you can start enjoying your savings once that debt is down to zero. And so the really important thing here is that you really understand where you stand on the scale of risk tolerance and what makes you sleep at night in the end of the day. And there we go. Those were my 7 main takeaways of this book. Again, I really recommend it. I'm going to leave a link of this book in the description down below. Let me know if you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And while you're here, why don't you watch this video over here where I talk about why many people who left their job in 2020 are slowly returning to their 9-to-5s. And I talk about what it takes to actually build a successful business. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you at the next one. Bye.